Over in Southern Ireland, a tight-knit community has been shaken to its core by the disappearance of a young man with so much going for him. Barry Coughlan grew up in the fishing village of Crosshaven with his parents and oldest sister Donna.
He lived for fishing, he loved fishing. It's his life, he always wanted to do it, and he had no interest in doing anything else.
In April 2004, at the age of 23, Barry was offered a full-time job on a trawler.
But he was a great trier, like, you know, so he kind of learned from the lads, enjoyed the crack, mixed well, you know.
He celebrated by buying himself a new car. At 11 p.m. on April the 30th, Barry went for a drink in his local pub, leaving an hour and a half later in his new car. For his parents back at home, it had just been an ordinary Friday night.
Saturday morning I woke up and he wasn't there. I found it very strange that he hadn't phoned. By lunchtime I was worried, and I was very worried by tea time.
Barry was due back at work on Monday, but he never got there.
His mobile phone was at home, and there was missed calls and missed texts on it, so from all his friends, all different texts, so she knew that he wasn't with any of them.
I realised at that stage he wasn't with any of his friends, so where was he? I knew there was something wrong. This was totally out of character.
When they still had no word from Barry by midday on Saturday, his father decided to go to the police.
Jim arrived at the station around lunchtime and informed me of that Barry hadn't returned on the previous night. It was quite evident from Jim's concern that there was something seriously wrong at this point in time.
We were anxious all Saturday night, and then we definitely knew by Sunday morning that there was something wrong, and obviously because his car is missing as well.
Barry was supposed to start his new job the next day. He had now been missing for over 24 hours.
Sunday evening he was due to go back fishing, and we had contacted his employer to let them know that what had happened. And at the time that the boat was due to go out, he didn't turn up, and they rang to say that there was no sign of him, and they waited, and they actually didn't go fishing at all that night.
It was time for police officer Fitzpatrick to organise a large-scale search for Barry.
It's a very close-knit community here in Crosshaven, and all the locals, if they didn't know the family, the Coughlan family, they'd know somebody who knew the Coughlan family.
There was a kind of a buzz around the village about it, you know, that he was missing or whatever. I couldn't believe it.
On the Sunday night, the locals, the Coast Guard, carried out a thorough search of the immediate area and the coastline in the hope that they would find Barry's car after being involved in an accident, may have gone in over a ditch, that Barry may have been trapped somewhere in his car.
I started driving around all the local areas where the car might be parked up. And as time went on, I was getting more and more worried.
They had helicopters out trying to find him. This dredging the river to see if the car or anything had gone in the river. And nothing come of it.
Every search, every roadway, every ditch was swallowed in the immediate area, and all searches proved negative.
It seemed there was no reason for Barry to disappear. Everything was going so well for him.
There was nothing unusual about Barry. In fact, he was making plans for the future. He had just purchased a new car. He had spoken to his family about buying a house in Crosshaven. He never showed any concerns, never showed any indication that this may occur.
Didn't seem to have anything going through mind. Everything seemed to be perfectly clear with him. He knew what he wanted in life, and everything was going okay for him.
There was nothing different. He was in great form. It was so out of character. There's nothing, no clues. There was nothing.
Might be a bit of an ease if there was a reason, but there's not, which makes it all the more harder. if he had been suffering from depression, if he had financial problems, but there was nothing.
The Irish police believed that finding Barry's red Corolla was the key to finding him, and extended their search across the length and breadth of Ireland.
Alerted all the stations throughout the country about the details of Barry, the details of his car. Several nationwide searches for the vehicle took place. Every street, every roadway, every car park, any place that the car may have travelled to during the first 24-hour period, really.
There was posters made and put up all over the country. People travelled that week, took weeks and weeks off work and travelled all over the country putting up posters. Every county in Ireland was covered.
They actually spoke to the media. They did everything possible to locate Barry.
This would have been ongoing for the first couple of months after Barry's disappearance, but all searches proved negative.
It's like as if Barry disappeared off the face of the earth.
With no sign of Barry or his car in Ireland, the police even looked into the possibility that he might have slipped out of the country.
There's a local ferry port here. His car was not logged crossing the ferry. And in fact, Barry had left his passport at home. He did not have any form of identification on him.
But if Barry had crossed the border to Northern Ireland, he could have travelled to Britain without a passport. The National Missing Persons Helpline in England were contacted in the hope that he had made his way there.
We've done quite a lot on Barry. We've put him in the national newspaper and we've made posters. We've had sightings of Barry. We had one very positive one in Scotland, for instance, and he is a friend actually phoned us up, a friend of Barry's, and said that he'd talked a lot about going to Scotland. He was a very keen fisherman. And so we then immediately put him in Big Issue, Scotland, to try and see if anybody up there had seen him.
But there have been no more sightings of Barry. The waters have been dredged and his car has never been found. His disappearance has had an enormous effect on his family and everyone who knew him in this close-knit community.
I personally think that Barry's alive. That is my gut. I personally think he's alive. He was a fisherman, right? You know, there's big fishing in Scotland, like, and you'd have heard stories or whatever, and always, you know, the grass is always green or whatever, you know, so it's a possibility maybe, you know, that he's fishing on a boat somewhere.
Somebody must have some idea where he is. Somebody must feel why this guy doesn't ever go back home, or he never speaks about his family. I don't know whether he does or not. I do think somebody must know something.
Barry came back, he's welcome here anytime, you know. There's a berth here for him. He's one of the old crew, you know, and this is where we want to be.
Barry's disappearance had a huge impact on the whole area, and there was a genuine concern for Barry and for his family, and still is to this day.
You just have to survive as best you can and just hope that the next day will bring something better. It's heartbreaking. My heart is broken. It's like a piece of me is gone.
There's no end to this. I buried my parents, and that's not easy, but this is no comparison. It's 10 times worse.
Every morning you think, is the phone going to ring today? Am I going to get a letter today? Am I going to hear something today? And then when it doesn't happen today, I say by night, maybe I will tonight. And that's how I get through my life.
He was like my best friend. We were so close. I miss him terribly.
If you've got any information about the disappearance of Barry Coughlan, then please call the National Missing Persons Helpline. Their number's on your screen now. All calls are free and confidential.